Multicultural Education, Ukrainian Challenges. The authors are Olha Svyrydiuk, Svitlana Shumaieva, Vitalii Svyrydiuk. The integration processes taking place in Ukraine encourage current generation to be capable to coexist with other people and social groups. Therefore, along with patriotic and civic education, an important role belongs to the students' multicultural education in general educational institutions at the most wide-scale social educational establishments of the present. Ukraine belongs to a state with a multicultural environment that has been formed on its territory for centuries. In addition, it unites people of different nationalities with all forms of interaction and mutual influence. Ukraine is a multinational state that has more than 100 nationalities. As of today, Ukraine has neither created an ideal model for organizing multicultural education nor determined the essence of its important component, multicultural education yet. In the broadest sense, multiculturalism is the formation of global thinking, the perception of the world in its various manifestations, the forms of existence of languages, cultures, and attitudes that implies the existence of a humanistic world outlook, such qualities as tolerance, the ability to conduct dialogue on equal rights, mutual respect. These ideas are reflected in a variety of humanist-oriented trends aimed at enforcing human rights for the sake of peace and development, fostering the provision of global education in the implementation of multicultural education. The Ukrainian researcher Irina Leshonova, analyzing the well-known today's concept of multicultural education, emphasizes that its main task is the development of cognitive and non-verbal skills that enable them to interact with other cultures and their careers. By linking multicultural education with higher levels of education and achievement of success in a multicultural environment, the researcher singles out 4 of its functions: the formation of the understanding of diversity of cultures and their interrelationship among those who study, awareness of the importance of cultural diversity for individual self-realization, the formation of the positive attitude to cultural differences, development of skills of interaction of careers of different cultures on the basis of tolerance and mutual understanding. The aim of the research is to monitor the students' multicultural education state at secondary schools of Ukraine. Our research was conducted on analyzing state documents and school curricula and doing an empirical study in schools of Cherkasy region among primary, secondary, and senior level students. The analysis of students' modern multicultural education in secondary schools of Ukraine has shown that at the state level, such documents as the law on education, the concept of civic education in Ukraine, the national strategy for the development of education in Ukraine until 2021, the concept of national-patriotic education of children and youth, and others, provide essential support for the development of multicultural education. The analysis of school curricula has shown that aspects of multicultural education are considered in the content of certain subjects as foreign literature, foreign language, physics, history, and geography. Such subjects as Ukrainian language and literature, art, mathematics, primary focus on patriotic and national education. However, programs for 5th till to 9th forms on such subjects as computer science, biology, chemistry, basic health education, labor training, physical training fail to provide the multicultural orientation of their content. The study of curricula in schools with a high percentage of national minorities has shown that multicultural education occupies the important place. As a result, students have acquired such qualities as positive attitude towards the language of minorities as a means of communication, respect for the people, tolerant attitude to the culture, customs and way of life, culture of communication adopted in the modern civilized world, emotional value relation to the world around, understanding the importance of mastering minority languages and the need to use them as means of communication. In order to identify the state of multicultural education in school education of Ukraine, we conducted an empirical study in schools of Cherkasy region among primary, secondary and senior level students. The main method was determined as questionnaire, which provided for clarification of issues of national-patriotic and multicultural orientation. Accordingly, questionnaires were offered to the 4th, 6th and 11th grade students in some schools in Uman and Uman district, covering 296 respondents. We used two questionnaires that combine quantitative and qualitative data collection, namely the author's questionnaire in the 4th and 6th grades and a scale questionnaire by a researcher Romanova in the 11th grade for the study of the ethnic identity of children and adolescents. The first questionnaire has enabled to assess the level of awareness of national identity and other peoples as well as their views on other peoples. The questions of national identity include: what does Ukraine mean for you? How do you understand the term Ukrainian? What symbols of Ukraine do you know? The awareness of other people should have checked the following questions: what other countries do you know besides Ukraine? What countries are on the border of Ukraine? What other peoples live in Ukraine in addition to Ukrainian? The following issues were to find out the respondents' opinion. How did you find out about other peoples? On the other hand, what would you like to know about other peoples? Have you ever met the representatives of other peoples, and what exactly did you impress when you met them? How can different peoples live in one locality? For instance, the overwhelming majority of answers, almost 90% to question what other peoples in addition to Ukrainian live in Ukraine, included Poles, Russians, Belarusians. Only two groups of respondents added Moldovans and Crimean Tatars, Hungarians, Turkmens, Hasids. The one group of respondents mentioned Romania, Slovaks, Gypsies, Armenians, Georgians, Jews. As for how did you find out about 70% of respondents of the 4th grade of rural schools named television, 50 family, 20 internet, and only 5% school. And almost 65 of respondents of 6th grade named school, 41 internet, television and family shared the 3rd position, amounting to almost 30%. For the 4th grade of urban schools, the main source are school and family, 41%, the television almost 14%, and the internet almost 5% are in the last place. It is worth to say the diagram shows that for 6th grade of urban schools, all sources occupy roughly equal positions. Thus, the results of the first questionnaire indicate the formed patriotic feelings, the awareness of their own identity, but it is noticeable that the awareness of other countries' peoples are at the secondary level, and even the respondents themselves indicate that they need more knowledge on the people living on the territory of Ukraine. The rating of sources has indicated the low activity of schools on the dissemination of information about other people. For instance, answering the question, in your opinion, how different peoples can successfully live in one locality, respondents indicating the following: tourist way, peace, mutual understanding, to accept people with whom they are, to be friendly, not to violate the laws, not to show racism, to work together, to respect each other, to preserve countries, learn Ukrainian language, live in different districts. I do not know, but very good. The second questionnaire for high school students contained the following pools of questions: belongingness to their ethnic group, significance of nationality, the interactions of the ethnic majority and minority, the use of one or another language. Unfortunately, the lack of time and the length, it is difficult. I won't read all the questions, but I'd like to add that for example, answers to the question, representative of the native majority of the population should not have any advantages over other peoples living on the given territory, were as follows. As absolutely agree, almost 30%, more likely agree than disagree, almost 6%, difficult to say, 35%, rather disagree than agree, 18%, strongly disagree, almost 12%. So we easily can see that this diagram indicates an insufficient level of forming multicultural feelings. In conclusion, I can say that it is established that the problem of multicultural education of children and young people is addressed at the government level. Relevant researches are conducted. Some aspects of multiculturalism are observed in educational programs of some subjects, but the level of multicultural education of students should be higher.